So let's put a roof on this. You'll see that roof and floors really work very similarly. So I'm going to zoom out so you can see the whole model. There's our floor system. I want to put a roof on this and finally get the shape of this house. Okay, so go back to the architecture tab. Let's click on roof, and we are back into that sketch mode, and where we're going to define the boundary of the roof. We're also going to define the pitch and the overhang at the same time. So if we go to our section view again and take a look, we have a 1 foot overhang, which is typical, and we have a 10-12 pitch, and we have 2x8 roof rafters. So I'm going to go to Revit and I'm going to pick those options. So the first thing I need to do is change this from a basic roof to a wood rafter with asphalt shingles. Again, we're picking kind of default things. We can make changes and make some things more custom a little later on. Next, I need to define my overhang. It looks like it already has the overhang at the 1 foot. And I'm going to have define slope turned on for all sides of the roof. So it's going to create a hip roof at first, and then I'll show you how we can change that to a roof with gabled ends. So just like we did with the floors, I'm going to use the pick walls tool and pick all the exterior walls. But I'm going to do, I'm not going to pick these two exterior walls because you can see from our elevations, let's go to the elevations, that the roof goes over that little porch area there and protects it. So we're going to pretend that those exterior walls are not there for now. So how do we make a connection between this edge and this one and close up that corner? In the same tab, you will see that there is a trim extend corner tool. It works exactly like the fillet tool does in AutoCAD. You click on that, then you click on one line, and then click on the other, and it will find the intersection between those two lines. Now, we've got the boundary all set. We have slope for every side of the roof, and we have our overhang. The slope, by the way, is a default of 912. And all these other defaults are here. We're going to mess with those a little later, but what I want to do is show you what this looks like first. So I'm going to hit the green check box, and you're going to see the roof appear over here, but it's going to be on the wrong level. So see how the roof showed up on the first floor level. Why was that? Well, it's because I defined the roof on the first floor level, and I don't want it to be there, but it was easier for me to see all the walls in that location. So I can, while the roof is still selected, I can move that base level from the first floor to roof. And you see that brings that roof up to the top of the walls. And now we have a roof system over the existing walls of the house. Okay, but problem is we have view clear up into the roof rafters, and there's no ceiling defined inside of these spaces. So I would define a ceiling if I wanted this to have a ceiling and then just have a little bit of attic space. I could do that. So I'm going to get a little bit more specific about this roof. You can see how easy it is to make a hip roof. We don't make any changes to the slopes or anything. But I'm going to edit this. I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be a gable end. So I click on the existing roof system that I have and choose to edit the footprint. As soon as I do that, I'm back to that sketch mode that I was in. Well, I want a slope to be on this edge and this edge, but I don't want a slope on this one or this one. So I'm going to select that one and turn off the slope. And I'll select the other side and turn off the slope. And I also want to change the slope here to a 10-12 slope and a 10-12 slope. So I'm going to stop there, hit the checkbox, and see what that does. Now we have a gable house. Okay, but a problem is that these end walls here that are supposed to be gable walls, they're not filling in that space. So I can do that automatically by selecting that wall, and I can tell it to attach the top base to the roof, and that creates our gable end. We can do the same thing with this side over here. Select that wall, attach top base to gable end. And we're going to create a ceiling system, or we're going to have to attach this to the roof as well and make those decisions. What this just shows you or demonstrates is how easy it is to take the existing wall and get it to fill in that extra space that we're looking for. Okay. Now, problem is from this view, I should have this wall here filling in this space. Well, that's a little bit more challenging of a situation. I can't just do that by extending it. I don't have a wall here. I can't bring that wall over without editing the profile of the wall. So I'm going to select that wall and I'm going to detach it. See, detach and then hit detach all. That wall goes back to being exactly the way it was. And what I'm going to do with this wall, it's a little different than the other side. It's going to have to unpin it. Is I want to edit the profile of that wall. When you edit the profile of the wall, do you see that we get the same pink lines that you would when defining the boundary of the floor or the boundary of the roof? What I want to do this time is use the edge of the roof. So I want to pick lines to define my new edge for my wall. So see, hit pick line, pick the edge of the roof, the bottom edge, and it defines a line lined up with the existing lines representing the boundary of that wall. I also want that line to lock to that roof, so I'm going to lock it like that. I also want to pick this edge and lock that. And then I just want to take this edge here, so I'm going to hit the escape key. I'm going to take this edge here and I want to just move it in this direction so that I'm going to make sure that that stayed flat. So let me do that again. Make sure that actually, I think I can do it better, a little bit better by doing it this way. I'm going to use the extend to corner tool, and I'll pick this line and this line. You see, it shows you what it's going to do, and that way I'm not going to accidentally change the angle of that. And then I want to put these two corners together, and that trims this edge of the line, and I also want to put these two corners together. So I have to trim or fillet those two corners. This one should stay fine, and then I had to fillet those two and those two. Now I've got a boundary essentially that's following the shape that I want the wall to be. When I hit the checkbox, it fills in that space and gives me the house shape that I was looking for. So I think at this point we need to create a ceiling, and then we're going to get into the foundation system. So let's create a ceiling over this, put a ceiling in, and I don't have the ceiling type that I want, so I'm going to hit generic, hit edit type, and see what I get for a generic ceiling. No, I don't want to hit generic, it looks like. So let's try hitting gypsum wallboard on furring and see what that is. We hit edit type. I'm going to edit the structure to see what it says. So there's our structure right here. It says metal stud layer. I don't want it to be a metal stud layer. I want it to be a wood layer. So I'm going to make that change now. This will kind of give you an example of what we're going to have to do to edit things. But if you click on that, you'll get this ellipsis button, and then we're going to get a list of different types of materials that we can use. And I really want that to be wood, lumber structure. So we'll hit OK. And then I want the size of it to be 5.5 inches, which will match a 2x6. And then the finish as gypsum wallboard is fine. So that should automatically change. There's the thickness is 6 inches. And I'm going to rename this gypsum wallboard on 2x6. And that makes more sense. That's a better description. Now I can use the sketching tool, use the walls, and I want to put ceiling all the way around like that. This corner didn't quite do what I wanted it to do, so I'm going to trim it. And I also don't like where the edge of the ceiling landed, so I'm going to use the arrows. See how it takes and moves all of the boundaries in or out. But those boundaries should actually be to outside face of stud. So I'm just going to move those out all the way around. Not sure why they didn't pick the outside face of stud automatically for us, but that's okay. We can move them ourselves. Whoops. There. And whoop, this one too. And then once we have those in place, then we can hit the check box, and now we have our ceiling system in there. Oh, I believe the ceiling was put at the wrong level. So let's see if I can find it. I think there's a ceiling in there. Yep, I found the ceiling. So somehow it just got to the wrong level. So I'm going to select everything, hit filter, hit check none, just check off the ceilings, and then I really want those ceilings to be at level roof with a offset of 0. And that should put the ceiling exactly where it ought to be. Let's see. Yep, you can see the edge of the ceiling there. And then in this area right here, I would probably put in a separate ceiling material so that I could add a different material here, like a beadboard or something. So we'll deal with that later. Or in fact, what I'll do is I'll simplify things. Let's say we want to have the ceiling come into this space. I can select the ceiling object, hit edit boundary, and then I can trim these two lines together and get rid of those two, and then hit the checkbox. When I do that, we should see the ceiling inside of that space now. There's the ceiling right there. So we've just added a roof and a ceiling, and we pretty much have the upper part of the model done, with the exception of the missing windows and things that we might want to put in here once we make some more sophisticated decisions about our roof lines.